get started. Thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you for being with us for the launch of Women in Web3 Hong Kong. I'm Lucy. I'm one of the 4 co-founders of this nonprofit organization, and I will be your MC for tonight. So we'll get started right away. And first off, let's welcome Tanya, my co-founder, on stage to give you the opening remarks. Let's give Tanya a round of applause. Thank
you. Okay. See, let's go. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. What an incredible time to see so many faces here, some that I know and some that I don't, and everyone really coming and uniting here over the passion to Web3 and the possibilities, and also for the building community for every one of us. This journey of Women in Web3 started about a year ago. We had an all-women panel, and after the panel we had a chat about how amazing it was just to have some females from the industry, because we didn't expect or have that kind of situation very often. And a lot of us had felt kind of isolated for always being the only woman in the room. We just started talking about how we really should have a dinner. And that was supposed to be a couple of people, turned out to be 13. And very quickly we started talking to other women and connecting, and it kind of just snowballed there. So, like Lucy said, my name is Tanya. We have 4 of us who started building this. So we have Lucy and Melissa and Livia, who are somewhere here. So yes, thank you. Big round of applause for these girls. It's been amazing to build this together with them. From those casual meetups, we very quickly, we had a little LinkedIn group. We had to swap from there to WhatsApp very quickly because we just couldn't fit anymore. Like, we couldn't actually add more people anymore. And we started doing also some workshops and training programs, and very quickly realized that there's actually room for growth here. There's so much support we're getting that we need to make this something a little bit bigger. And only not just in Hong Kong, we've also been very lucky to connect with other females across the globe. And we actually tonight have here Women in Web3 Paris, members here who will be speaking to you a little bit later as well, who just took their time and money to actually be here with us tonight. So we've really been floored by the support. And none of this would have been possible without also our sponsors. So big thank you goes to Google, obviously, and to Animoca Brands, to Sandbox, Gaia Labs, Offchain, Starkin, Cardtree, and Talent Access for generously supporting us and being there and believing us already at this early stage. So thank you. And tonight is really not just celebration. It's also a testimony of what is possible when you put people together and start building something. So it's really exciting to see that even just as little as we have done so far, we can get this much going on. So I'm just super excited to see where this road lead. And as we look in the future, our main goal is really to build a space that is an open space for everyone. It's not just about women, even though we are, kind of riding that flag. But we want there to be men. We want there to be every single voice who wants to be building Web3 together. And that's the whole thing. Let's just bring everyone together. And this is just an exciting moment. But I'm really looking forward to our panels and our speakers tonight as well. We have some amazing people here from the industry who have also taken their time to be here, and looking forward to learning and just connecting with people. So sincere thank you for everyone who's come here tonight, and please enjoy.
So as Tanya already mentioned, we have special guests tonight. So the co-founders of Women in Web3 Paris flew all the way to come to our public shop launch event. So please welcome on stage Naomi, who is the co-founder of the organization.
Thanks. Hi everyone, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Lucy. You couldn't imagine how much I'm proud to be in front of you today. I remember myself 2 years ago being in front of a crowded place in Paris full of women wanting to gather and to learn more into Web3. I remember myself, at that time, I was just telling myself, oh my God, this is something big. And I wasn't prepared for the rest of the trip. So in 2 years, we gathered more than 3,000 people into Web3 event. We partnered with the top industry leaders. We did more than 15 conferences around NFT, crypto, around cyber, and between Paris, Dublin, Lisbon, Tel Aviv. But this time, it's really something special. If 2 years ago, someone would have told me that I would be here today, I wouldn't have believed him. So I'm Naomi, as a little mentioned, I'm 26. I have a background as engineer. I work in AI, I work in blockchain, and 2 years ago, I co-founded Women in Web3 Paris. I am really three passions, which is tech, education, and inclusion. Do you know, we ran a survey, inside Women in Web3 community, and 40% of women have ever heard, if you are here, it's because you are a woman. Do you know that this number dropped to 4% if the women have a tech education background? And that's really what we value at Women in Web3, providing the most of tech education backgrounds. A few months ago, with Anaël, we launched Clio Academy, which is also a tech education platform when we are co-branding courses with industry leaders to provide the best content to the best experts. Yes. Okay. My experiences through Clio Academy and through Women in Web3 has just shown me that together we can change everything. We can reach the parity in tech. We can reshape the tech of tech. So thank you everyone for being here today. We don't know what it means, really to do the path to going to an event around inclusion. So thank you first, everyone. Thank you, Lucy, and the team from really running this. I remember when Anaël come back from this meeting with you, she told me, "Wow, Lucy is really an amazing girl. It will be really amazing to open up some branch in Hong Kong." So really a year later, that's really happened. So we're super proud. We're super proud to partner with you. You're already 4 of you: Lisa, Melissa, Dania, and Lucy, amazing girls. So we're super proud. Thank you also for the Women in Web3 Paris team who come all the way long. Thank you for being here from day one. And we really achieve something in Paris. We really change things. The Paris Web3 ecosystem is more mixed. It's more mixed today. And we really believe, and I really trust you girls that you could do the same here in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi. Now let's move on to the fireside chat. I'm sure a lot of you are here tonight to listen to our very high-level speakers. So let's welcome on stage Sandy Peng, the co-founder of Scroll, and Evan Auyang, the group president of Animoca Brands. So I'll give you one mic.
So I'm really happy to be here for Web3 Women. It's such an important initiative because, as you all know, the tech world suffers a little bit from gender balance early on, especially Web3. If you look around most of the conferences and events that we go to, we don't have the right balance, and it's a problem because I've run several companies. Whenever you don't get the right diversity and the right balance, you don't get the right decisions, right? So hopefully this is an organic effort. Animoca Brands is very happy to be behind this and one of the partners behind it. And hopefully this is a start to a greater ecosystem, but it's all about all of you and what you guys want to do. I'm especially happy to have Sandy here. Sandy has always been someone we have been watching, right? As all of you have been watching. Amazing leader. Let me just tell you, I'm not going to introduce her, but I'm going to ask her a question that would essentially introduce her. So, Sandy, you have a very interesting background. I think we met first time in person on a panel. Very well spoken, obviously. But you actually studied in Cambridge for social and political sciences, right? And then obtained your master's at London School of Economics in Law, Anthropology, and Society. Nothing tech yet, right? And then your first job was actually with the Securities and Futures Commission of Hong Kong. And then you went to Fission Capital as a founding partner that actually invests in blockchain projects, and you found this Grow in 2021, right? So, the first question is kind of like, maybe tell us a little bit about your journey, right? So, there's isn't like tech in the beginning, and then you went to SFC, and then capital deployment, and then how did you make these choices? It's really interesting.
Well, I want to first of all thank you, Evan, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you for the host for inviting me. It's always nice to be speaking to an audience in Hong Kong, and also speaking to an audience of predominantly women. This doesn't really happen in kind of technical conferences or in Web3, and so this is very special, and it feels very cozy. I think there is a lot of the kind of selection bias for Web3 involvement. People typically don't remember that everyone is new in Web3. And everything only started maximum 10 years ago. And so essentially this is a new playing field, and everyone is starting from a relatively equal footing. And a lot of the barriers that somewhat prohibits women from leaning in and getting more involved is it's a kind of self-inflicted and self-belief. There's no reason why anyone is not on the same starting ground, regardless of what background you're in. And I'm going to end the talk with maybe kind of having someone guess what are some of the major Web3 organizations you might have heard of that are run by women. So maybe that's the Q&A for the end. But kind of back to my background, I actually discovered I discovered Bitcoin when I was working at the SFC, and through some of my colleague who's here, I think we were just kind of talking about regulatory threats to from the fintech sector. So the trigger was Zhufubao launched, and that was a money market fund, and it gathered a lot of capital from the internet. And so from a regulatory perspective, that was one of the first time where we had to really dig into how internet is changing the regulatory landscape. And Bitcoin came up as a part of that search. And so that was the first time I read the white paper. And having kind of come from a relatively activist student background, and being very aware of all the kind of the banking bailouts, and having participated in some protests related to that, the whole idea of Bitcoin as a protest to irresponsible fiscal policies really resonated ideologically. And quite frankly, back then I had no idea about open ledger. I was not technical, like you mentioned. And a lot of the underlying tech was lost on me, quite frankly. And similarly, when I discovered Ethereum in kind of 2015, when Vitalik came to visit Asia, a lot of the tech behind Ethereum was also somewhat lost on me. But it was very clear from a social perspective that you have enough anchors to know people understand this, and that this is kind of intellectually interesting. And so throughout the years, you just kind of like read more and more about it. And then, like they say, like any university degree is maybe 3 to 4 years. And since kind of the launch of Ethereum, everyone's been sort of in the ecosystem have been studying this for, way more than the duration of a university degree. So there's a lot of kind of learning through like reading online and a lot of learning through discussions with various people within the community that kind of helps you grow and grasp a general landscape. So I think that's to answer the question, like how does someone like non-technical get into the industry? I think first of all, you don't need to be in the industry as like an engineer. Obviously, engineer is a great place to start. Like it's a great place to be, and you're going to be very sought after. But I think I was explaining how, like, for marketing and operation, these seemingly generalist roles, there just isn't enough talent in Web3. So when you think about a marketing role, there should be plenty of marketing talents out there. But when you think about someone who can hack Twitter, who can do the online game, who knows how to generate like excitement and generate like events in a way that gets like the Twitter excited and gets Farcaster excited, and understands event management and understands enough technology to communicate it to a general audience and understand how to build, then you're down to like maybe 10 people globally. And these people demand like millions in terms of like, whichever project they join. Like they are a very, very niche sought after assets within crypto. And so I think I think people generally are not aware of these kind of situations. It's not just engineers who demand like millions in salaries. It's also people who are at the top of their game in operations, in like crypto management. And I think you just need to find your niche and follow your interest, which is a very cliche answer. I'll try and come up with better sound bites for the next question.
I actually want to dig into that, right? Because it's actually not cliche. Because if you look at sort of like how you've done this, right? It's really about self-curiosity, isn't it? It's your, from, again, outside, it's kind of like you have that yearning to really explore that. And then you enjoy the NFT project. You joined Scroll, right? You founded Scroll. This is like, it's Cortex, it's CKEM, right? So at the end of the day, it's something about tenacity. Would you agree about? You also did some courses, I think, on LinkedIn that you also saw, right? That I also saw. It's about self-learning, right? It's not about where, obviously you've been great schools, right? But what you learn today really comes from your tenacity in learning, right?
I think that's thank you for that soft question. So I think I'm guessing most of the audience here hasn't or has heard of Scroll. So maybe I'll just give like a very quick 2-minute update. So Scroll is a very, very research and engineering heavy ZK Layer 2 ZK EVM project. So the goal of Scroll is to extend the scalability of Ethereum and its EVM equivalent. And we're collaborating very closely with the Ethereum Foundation, and we're the first to offer instant finality and with fruit proofs, and we're researching the next generation of kind of Ethereum scalability through various efforts across the Ethereum stack and timeline. And I think a few statistics that we're proud of, having like built this project in the open source and in a highly competitive technical vertical, we've managed to maintain about 40% kind of female to male gender ratio. And I think we're the only major infra project, apart from one other, which is guesses, prizes for guesses, that has a female co-founder. And we in our research team, which is highly regarded within the industry for like cutting edge research, ZK research, is 50% women, and also our smart contract engineering team is also 50% women. So we take great pride and we try really hard to create this group that is like geographically decentralized and also has. We try really hard to maintain, like, to be an equal opportunity employer. And so back to your question about, being like learning through curiosity and self-interest. I think that's how a lot of the team members have discovered Scroll. And we hire a lot through Twitter. So we find people in our community who are active and seemingly like good writers, and who like the beauty of open source project is that everything we do is out in the open, and we're very open about kind of how we think about things, how we think about the next generation of like design. And so like just today we were kind of talking on Twitter about how we're the only layer 2 where you can bridge a NFT into, because this type of stuff requires like instant finality and it requires full proofs, especially for high value NFTs. And then the next question is like, okay, why would I want to bridge my punk or ape into an L2 like Scroll? Then that's like a business question that requires like a holistic way of thinking about it. And then so we posted a thread on Twitter, and then immediately there's just like a lot of people who are like saying, you know, this is what's happening. And then some people said, oh, you could do this also on Startware, which we didn't actually know about. And so there's a lot of kind of like experimentation and like live coordination that's happening on Twitter, which is kind of like the public forum for builders essentially. And so we've hired a lot of people just from people who participate in public discourse. And these opportunities are completely like gender blind. Like I have no idea what gender or what age or what profession they come from. And obviously we do KYC when we hire someone, and this is when you discover, oh wow, you're only 16, so we can't hire you. But gender has never been a prohibiting factor.
It's just the quantity. Yeah. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a chart comparing different CK raw technologies. That is a you guys just go to check it out. Why Scroll is a little different. Why Animoca, as well as many other investors are actually looking at it and tracking it very closely. One thing that actually would be helpful is to maybe understand a little bit of your own journey as a woman in the space, navigating sort of your own organization and interacting with the industry. Do you find that there's anything sort of, shall I say, that is maybe barriers or lessons learned that you would like to share? You're also a mother, so there's a lot to balance.
Yes. I mean, I think crypto is very open and very inclusive, but at the core of it is about relationships. And it's about, I think certain like communities have a very strong like bro-ish community. And for like women generally doesn't have this kind of like bro-ish like culture. So having organizations like Women in Web3 and SheFi, and that kind of builds the connectivity between various women is very, very helpful. And I think also just like finding your niche and then your clique within Web3 is really important. And also kind of finding people, I think different projects all have very different vibes. And that has a lot to do with the core team's DNA and what they prefer. And for certain projects that they've hit a certain like threshold of a certain type of people, then that type of people tend to aggregate towards a certain type of project. So I would say these are things that needs to be very, very carefully thought about and curated, particularly in the early stages of founding a project. And like you said, I am a mother, and I think that has, I don't know if that's like indirectly or directly affected the way that I think like vast majority of people working for Scroll do have family and do have children. And I think that's very unusual for Web3. And most people are generally quite young and people travel a lot. And but I think statistically, we just have a lot of kind of, moms and dads on the team. And I think the good thing about that is that there's like a ton of stability. And when you have like this like stable setup, you tend to think a little bit more long term, and you tend to know like what you want out of your career and out of life. So there's less of this like oh, let's pump this stuff. Like, there's less of that culture, like that, and then there's less of like, oh, let's like flip this 10x and that kind of like, and let's jump to the next opportunity that pays more. There's a lot more like kind of a non-financial type of interest that is close to the core team culture, and that's like both good and bad. And I think the good thing is that most of our team are very heads down and very rigorous, and you need that for an infrastructure build-out project. And on the other hand, we're also kind of starting to involve more people who are more on the degen side, so we can combine a little bit more of the degen energy and try and leverage that to kind of incentivize the next generation of ZK and tech build-out. So I think to kind of like bring that loop and close that loop is super interesting, and and we're just kind of having fun and experimenting.
Yeah, it looks like that you're careful how you construct your DNA overall, right? So that's important for success of the project. I want to actually go into audience questions as well, but you said you want to do something with respect to asking the audience some questions.
Yeah, I think I might have set the question a bit too hard, but maybe let's see like which kind of like infra Ethereum deep tech projects are also run by women.
Any guesses? Ben?
Cuts? Are there any? There are. Yes. I don't know. It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question. Okay, yeah, it might be quite hard. So I think the answer is
Serotonin.
Right. I did say infra projects. So sorry. But that's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay. So it's just I think this might be incomplete, but I think it's just scroll and also flashbot.
Okay, so any questions from the audience? Anyone want to go at it, please?
Yeah, and you said there is like in your research team there is like 50% women, which is like amazing and huge, and especially in like Web3 research. How do you think you guys managed to do that? How is there like a secret or something special that you managed to do?
I mean, I think we have I think it's twofold. One fold is obviously having like an equal employment opportunity policy, which I'm sure lots of people have. But like women, like researchers or male researchers of any kind who are working on cutting edge technology is a very sought after kind of type of role, and I think it's somewhat like they're probably attracted to the project because there are just more women to work with and they're more comfortable that way.
Yeah, I suppose seeing somebody who is a woman leader who would also attract females, right? That's because it's role modeling as well.
I think it's a two-way. It's definitely like a two-way selection, and then we're trying really hard to make sure, like it gives people the assurance that there is no glass ceiling, and then there is the assurance that whatever role you're in, there's like a ton of other women to support you, and so I think that's the kind of the basis of this like positive loop.
Yeah. Any please in the back.
I really love what you said about explaining inches and in that. Guys, Andy, I really love what you said about kind of doing this for the greater good of humanity rather than kind of like a short-term hedonistic game that kind of doing things really amazing and awesome to listen to. I wanted to ask what your personal goals in kind of female leadership in a project like this. Where could you see yourself in 5 years' time, and taking women into the scene of what does that success look like to you?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a hard to answer question because we're in a highly competitive vertical, and there are a lot of layer twos, and there are a number of ZK projects, and you can't really think about kind of like, oh, what do I do as like a as like a female leader, as opposed to just any leader. When people are picking which chain to deploy capital to, when people are thinking about, oh, where should I build my project, this kind of softer social things are not really top of mind. And so the competitive landscape is also equal, and there's no preferential like gender treatment one way or another. And but I think in terms of the culture that we're trying to build, and that's instilled in both the men and women working in Scroll, is just about kind of thinking more long term and being technically rigorous and very like intellectually honest about what we're building, and not overclaiming, and then but also being very confident about projecting about where we want to go and painting that vision of, I think we're working towards on-chain, like decentralized inclusion. So part of that value is about building a truly decentralized network and be as accessible as possible. So basically get to a place where it's like as cheap as possible, and also being as stable as possible. So there's a lot of balance. When you're trying too hard to go after one single vertical, whether it's like throughput, whether it's like TPS or like cost, when your singularity focus on one vertical and trying to like kind of beat your chest and be like, I'm the first, I'm the best at this. This is kind of like this is good for PR and you get more eyeballs. But it means but we're trying to grow more holistically, and this kind of culture is, it attracts a certain type of people, and it's about kind of being responsible for all of the builders who are building on Scroll and making sure we're making the best like technical choices and also social choices and communicating these choices in a clear and transparent way. And I think that's going to hopefully kind of continue to inspire more female builders as well as male builders to come to our fold, because we want to be able to take care of all of the builders. And there's a lot of kind of female kind of project founders within our ecosystem, and I think that's also kind of a self-selection process. It's not like we kind of actively go out there. It's just kind of like a mutual kind of draw kind of thing. And I think like women is like a new incoming force within crypto. I think if you think about the core crypto demographic that is like super competitive, I think, women coming in, that's like a new demographic, and whoever can kind of own that and whoever can like really resonate with that crowd will do super well. But I think the competitive landscape doesn't really care what gender you are. And I think the gender benefit comes through this ability to kind of communicate clearly and being able to kind of hold a consistent value across the builder and also building for the long term.
Thank you. Can I have one more final question? Please, go ahead.
Hi, you already mentioned that Scroll is doing a layer 2 solution for Ethereum, right? There are a lot of products doing pretty similar, and also we know that there is a Dunpoon upgrade that also going to improve the scalability. So I just wanted to ask, what's the competitive advantage of Scroll, and which product can use your solution? And also, it's another question. How did you guys survive through the crypto winter? What helped you to keep uploads? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. So the way we see the competitive landscape is that very few teams have the engineering and research capabilities to build out. Anyone can run a stack chain. That's very easy. And you can also run a scroll stack very, very easily. You can do that within a day. But to be able to build out a full technical stack and a proving system that works, I think so far in the world, only 3 or 4 teams have done that. And out of all those teams, only 2 or 3 have built the ZK proofs. And that is a very, very high technical moat. And out of the ones that have built the ZK proofs, only one is fully compatible and working. And that's us. And And so I think in terms of the product market fit, it is for the ZK product market fit is very much about instant finality and having a very, very high security standards. So the type of projects that need this is anything that needs like better liquidity for arbitrage. So even though so we have a very similar sort of slippage for small to medium users as arbitrage, which has the highest liquidity right now. And we also have the fastest finality proving time out of all of our competitors. And that is important for kind of any kind of in and out flows. So any kind of meme coin trading, NFTs, it just provides a better and more seamless user experience. And we're constantly exploring how to make the product more accessible through account abstraction, and also how to kind of add different calibrations of the product suite, so more people can set up their own chain and use that kind of stuff. So to answer your question, it looks very crowded, but the bar to innovate at the frontier of ZK technology is very high, and I don't think there are that many teams who are pushing the boundaries there. The second question is how to stay afloat during the crypto winter. I think we started during the crypto winter, so we've always known the crypto winter, and we're actually trying to learn to adjust to the crypto bull, and we're not adjusting super well. I think we started off as like an online project, and we started collaborating, and for our entire first year and a half until we built our POC, I think we spent less than $1 million. And the POC was the world's first running ZK farm tours, and we launched it in SPC. And then after that, it's just been like a frenzy of kind of VC interest all the way up till now. And so the first year was really tough, and we were funded by kind of a lot of the ZK researchers and people from the Ethereum Foundation. You can think of them as mostly like friends and family, and everyone gave like very small checks, like 10. We have so many like 10K checks. They're all just from like people who collaborate with us, who likes what we're doing. And I think most of them thought of it as a donation because they thought we were never going to go anywhere. And then like I think the build out and the ramp up was new because we're all kind of like open source, and none of us have managed a team before, and that kind of institutionalized process of building out an engineering team and building out a management structure, all of that is very novel. And now the novel thing that we're trying to learn and adapt to is this like frenzy of a crypto bull market where people's attention span is suddenly 2 seconds. And everyone is calculating, oh, how much do I have yield here? How much yield here? What are the expectations of like a listing here and that? And we're adjusting to this, and this is interesting. And there are people who are more adapted to this, but fundamentally, I think we're like we want to be adaptable, and we are adapting, and I think we can, and we're trying to kind of preserve our core like engineering and also research culture while leveraging the degen energy that is clearly kind of coming through. So it's very interesting to see a working product in a bull market where people can experiment, and a lot of the just the number of builders who are building on Go is astounding, and I think a lot of it is kind of somewhat driven by the by the bull market, and then also just by like the opportunity to kind of build out like a very high kind of yield setup. So the amount of like yield that you can get on chain is insane. Like I can't talk about this for legal reasons specifically, but like I don't really pay attention to this usually. Like I'm not super degen as like I'm not the most degen person, but kind of like having like been researching this for the last week or so, just the amount of like when I compare the US Treasury yield opportunities versus the kind of opportunities on chain, like I think the bull market is only just starting. There's like a long way to go.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you, Andy and Evan. So now we'll move on to our panel discussion on the topic Asia's impact, women shaping the future of Web3 and tech. We're very lucky to have with us like 5 speakers. So let's start off first with welcoming Jayotika Mohan. So Jayotika is the APAC head of startup and small and medium businesses sales at Google Cloud. Up next, we have Flora Chan. Great. So Flora is the associate account director at Index Game.
Can you take a seat here?
Then let's welcome Joanne Fung. So Joanne is the Chief Marketing Officer at Meet48 and also the co-founder of Upchain, one of our supporters for tonight. Then we have Zaf. Zaf Chow is the Chief Commercial Officer at Artifact Labs. And finally, the moderator of this panel is going to be Melissa Nieves, who is also my co-founder at Web3 Hong Kong. Please let's give them a big round of applause.
Actually, sure. Maybe share with Johan. That side shares this mic. And
Thanks, Lucy, and welcome everybody to our panel discussion. Very grateful to have everybody here with us tonight as our debut launch. So we're actually kind of running behind schedule, so I'll keep it really brief and concise. Right? I'll look to Lucy for signals on time, and I'll make sure everybody here has ample amount of time to speak and express yourselves. And of course, we are actually closing our doors at 9:30. So after that, after this panel discussion, we'll have ample amounts of time for you guys to network with our esteemed panel that we have right here. So thank you, and everybody. My first question is about the maturation of the tech industry that we have right now and Web3 itself. As it matures, what do you think you see is part of an emerging trend that you see this year? And I'd like to direct this question to our very special guest who's learned from Singapore, Jayo.
Thank you very much. So with Web3 in Hong Kong, there is really a positive positioning of Hong Kong coming up as the next Web3 hub in Asia, which is pretty compelling. And in that whole light, there are a few themes that really stand out. One of the themes that is really standing out is the decentralized financing is coming up as a big, huge opportunity, especially to break the barriers and all the intermediaries in between to make transactions faster, accessible for everyone. So that's a big area of opportunity. I think the next big thing is interoperability. The whole idea that different blockchains need to be able to talk to each other. And there are more and more startups coming up and making this happen. And that is a big opportunity as well. And then when I work with Google Cloud, one thing that I'm seeing up and coming is the fact that a lot of traditional companies who are not cloud-born startups, they want to use Web3 in their use cases to upskill their projects or make their projects more accessible. And that is very, very unique. And I think that's where Web3 is also really uniquely placed. And we're seeing more and more of those cases in Hong Kong. So those are 3 things that I feel really stand out.
Thank you for that answer. And I'd also like to invite Zaf to answer the same question as you have a lot of experience in this region.
Thank you. So I think definitely the RWA, the reward access, I think has been talking for half a year already. And also more importantly, I think it's how blockchain being used in real world application, like real world use case. So for instance, we're working with National Gallery of Singapore, trying to help them like arts and cultural institutions. When you think about like innovation or transformation, maybe that won't be the first choice you would think of, right? But I think the arts world is thinking about how to apply blockchain into real life application. So for instance, we help them to preserve what they have on chain, because you may know that British Library got hacked and they have to pay ransom to get the digital files back, which is ridiculous. So we're helping them to preserve and also using blockchain to do IP licensing more efficiently. So I think these are some really good use case of how blockchain can be beneficial to organizations like museums. And also we're working with Titanic, the organization actually owned the wreck, and help them to build some kind of engagement system, almost like a membership pass, if you will. So in the past, if you're interested in Titanic, you can only watch the expedition of them going down the deep sea. But actually, the wreck itself is decomposing and it will disappear in a few decades. So for people to get involved or to vote, for example, next time you want to go to the captain's room to recover stuff, you don't really have a choice or have a way to get it. And now we're trying to get more decentralized and have more people to get involved in such things to help preservation or help people to be a part of something for a greater good.
Thank you so much both for the well-rounded answer. And to piggyback on that point on how culture and tech are integrated, my next question is about how Asia is positioning itself in this tech industry, and are we currently in a good position to support women in the industry? And I'd like to invite Flora to answer this question.
Thank you. I think it's always a good time to support women to do anything, especially in a very lopsided industry like this. We used to see so many male programmers. Most of my programmers back in the day in the agencies were male. Right now, we see much more programmers that are female. Much more people working in the tech industry that are female. I worked in quite a lot of agencies. I even worked in Apple. At one point, half the floor is women. That means the stereotype of, women don't know iPhones or don't know what they're buying is past. So this is something that I always support. Like, look past the gender. If you're interested, just do it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Flora. And to speak upon your point about having more female builders, Joanne is actually a builder herself, and I'd like to invite her to talk a little bit about this point as well.
Thank you. I actually start from algo trading back in the days when I was in university, and then I didn't know about blockchain back in the days, and then I studied white papers when I met a few like fellows Web3 believers when I work in the IT vendors, and then so I kind of like got started from that point to get into cryptos. So I think there's like no boundaries for women to get into Web3. It might sound scary, like with all those like tradings, like wallets, and then but then it's actually like not that scary at all. So just do your own research.
Thank you.
And always the YOR. That's the principle that we all live on. So back to the point about having female representation and leadership. Obviously, there is some significant impact in that. I'd like to invite the ladies of the floor to talk about how being a female leader yourself has shaped your organization, how you do business. Could be perhaps start with study child. Yeah.
So I'll actually take a step back to answer this question, because the real value of how a woman leader could really make a difference or add value was when I was on that path to leadership. And when you get to that stage where you're on your path to leadership, you're almost there. Now you just need someone to give you an opportunity. And that stage, that step is what makes that big, huge difference, right? And that is where, I was in that unique position where the first person who gave me the real big opportunity was a woman, and she could empathize and see and believe in me when I did not have experience, to hang me the vibe. And I think that is that's the biggest value that women leaders bring to the table as empathy. And that doesn't mean that, that's going to create some kind of a bias, but it's an understanding. Because I've also been on the other side of the spectrum where to get an opportunity, I've been questioned that as a woman, how committed could I be? Because, I may have my own life goals and family goals. So to have the other positive experience where a woman could understand that it doesn't come in the way if you're driven and you can make it happen, that was really valuable. So I think just by example and being there and, giving that opportunity and handing out the mic is something that a lot of women leaders can do. And also just, they walk and talk as an example. Shani.
Thank you so much, Jen, for.
I think it's a little bit special for me, especially when I, lead a team. I usually try to be with the team instead of I'm a leader. I'm trying to, do something that you follow, and then you kind of be the one of them. So what I always do, I obviously can talk to, both genders very well because of, what I see and what I take interest of. But then what I'm trying to do as a leader, as a female, is just to emphasize to be a nice person in general, and to be an understanding person. So for me, I kind of that, I'm a female, I'm now in a leadership, so this is what I should do. I should be a mother, or I should be something. That's something that I'm not trying to do, but instead I want to be friends, and in terms of that, inspire collaboration. So it's a little bit special for me in regarding that question. I can talk about which 3A game is the best to play. And I can also talk, cosmetics with you. That's just, what I can do. So I kind of leverage on that and, build up, mutual interest and go from there.
Thank you, and Joanne.
I feel like it's a bit different for me as well, because so for Meet 48 right now, they actually have a bunch of idols. So their idols are girls idols from Shanghai, which they're not very knowledgeable in Web3. So in that case, we educate them traditional users in Web3 in a different way in entertainment industry. So for that, I think that's the quickest way to get it into mass adoption, because I feel like in Web3 it's mostly about mass adoption if you want to get really engaged, right? So I guess starting from mass adoption, it has to be from KOLs, and then to get influencer in, and then that's how we get them educated, and then to make it as a leader. Yeah.
And finally, some words for Zaf on this.
Thank you. So I actually think that being a woman gives me more opportunities than men, surprisingly. So I actually got in for example, got invited by TEDx to share how Web3 can give or change the the scope of equality, for example. I think it's not just about gender because, like what Sandy mentioned earlier, this space is normally gender blind, right? It can be anonymous, and on Twitter, I don't really care about I'm talking to a guy or a girl, and we're just looking at the facts, right? So I think in this Web3 space, it's actually a better space for women to start with. I think, like in traditional financial world, for example, you may there may be a lot of like hierarchy, more men on the top, and all that. But I think this is like a new space for us to create, right? So it's just about getting there to understand more about how this industry works, and everyone's just starting at the same place. So I think I don't have a particular answer to how women can be better in this space. I think it's just whether you want to be in it or not. If you want to be in it, just start looking at opportunities. Because my background has nothing to do with tech at all. I was working at Animoca Brands for a while, and I've been advising on tokenomics. I didn't study the economy. I studied accounting and finance, so it's totally unrelated. So there's nothing stopping you from joining the industry. There are a lot of things that you can do. If you're marketing, maybe there's something different between Web2 marketing and Web3 marketing. You just have to learn the difference. There's no difference between you're a girl or you're a guy, right? So I think just don't have this mental barrier inside of you, and I think that's my comment on that.
Thank you so much, Zaf. And for our final question, again, I'd love to invite everybody on the panel to share your thoughts on this. What does everybody think about being situated in Asia in terms of being a female leader, or in just tech in general? Does the demographic of being in Asia give any difference to how you lead or how business is being developed in the global landscape? And let's start with Jayo again, and we'll come back to Zaf.
So overall, I think Asia has a lot of opportunity. So amazing opportunities. I agree with our panelists that specifically in Web3, if you like something, you do it. It doesn't matter, where you're coming from. It's a fairly new space, so you can learn. And if you have willingness to learn, you can come in and you can start doing what you want to do. People are also, not from the generation that really cares about which gender you are, which helps a lot. And which shows up today in the room, right? I go to so many women events, and they're filled with women, and this room has a very good diversity from that point. So I think there's overall a lot of optimism from my lens. There's a lot of support. A lot of women have made it to positions where they're ready to be ambassadors. The fact that there is this community event happening here is an example of there is support available, there are communities available. So it looks overall really optimistic. I don't think Asia needs to do anything different. Asia just doesn't need to carry the burden. If there is anyone carrying the burden, hey, I'm a woman, can I do this? Should I not do this? So maybe I think it's the only advice would be to not carry that burden. And if you actually feel it, then really embrace the communities like these mentors, ambassadors to really talk it out, because your best potential is beyond your doubts and any apprehensions.
I think it's a quite exciting time where Asia in general is getting more equalized. I don't know if that's the word. It's like I said, as everybody in this panel said, it doesn't really matter if you are a male or female anymore, as long as you can do your job, as long as you can express your interest, it doesn't really matter that much anymore. There is still talk about, female getting less pay in some instances. It might still be true. It might still be something that we collectively need to work on as leaders or employers, et cetera, et cetera. But then it's an exciting time where, regardless of your gender, you get to do what you do, and that's beautiful.
I actually still remember back then when it was like 2016, and then I was like crypto drinks, if anyone remember. And then I remember back in the days there was like only like 4 to 5 girls, and I was like one of them. And then I feel like those people actually struggle a lot to influence the other people, like influence the other women to get into Web3, and then from marketing and then like to business development. It's very inclusive, like the entire ecosystem. So I feel like it's actually like a very healthy ecosystem in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about women in Asia, I'm gonna give you a really extreme example. Japan. So I worked in Japan before for a few years in the Web2 world, and I'm gonna tell you, gender discrimination is real, so as age discrimination and other discrimination. But after this like Web3 journey of mine, actually I realized that if I go to the Japanese market now and talk about Web3 and all that, I think I get the respect that I didn't get before. And I think it's just resonated back to my earlier point about this is a new field. They don't understand. And there's no one is a guru or no top guy there to build a hierarchy. So I think we have a really good chance to build out your own niche, your own profile, and I think there's no such thing as gender discrimination in this space. But having said that, when I talk to the Japanese IP, for example, like Hello Kitty, and they would ask, how do you ensure that Hello Kitty can do well in Web3? Because all the participant users are guys. And I actually don't really have an answer for that. So this is a question that I would like to discuss with you after this panel. Like, is that true that the more girly, cute IP wouldn't stand a chance? Or do you think differently? So this is my question to you after this panel.
Thank you so much, everybody. And that wraps up our conversation for today. Feel free to reach out to the panel for any other follow-up questions. I'm sure they'd be happy to network and share some ideas with you. And and we get on that.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Well done, Mills.
Thank you, everyone.
Just before you go enjoy the food and drinks, I will leave the stage to Vivian to give you like a 2-minute closing remarks. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for coming, the amazing team and the woman in Web3 flying from Paris, and he's gonna mentor our program. And thank you everyone for coming and all the sponsors, supporter for the event. And I think now is a good time to network, to get to know each other and enjoy the food and enjoy the rest of your night here. That's all. Thank you.